Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting evening of Naked City!
Hi, everybody. My name's Gina.
And I'm Bernie.
We're the hosts of Naked City. Welcome to Naked City, where shit gets real quick. You're a little peaked. It's a little warm in here. You know what will help get this moving? Watch your eyeballs!
Candy, watch your eyes!
There we go. And at this moment in every show, I like to remind everyone that floor candy is still good candy.
Naked City audience, are you ready? You may begin in 3, 2...
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta, where we all get naked at a goat farm. It's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm a victim of consequences.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
Yup.
2 weeks in a row, we got guests.
Hey.
How did we manage that?
I knew if I put in the extra towels and linens in the guest bedroom, it would attract people.
That's right, yeah. Pizza and champagne. Introduce.
Well, we have here the creators and the hosts of Atlanta's open mic lit night, Naked City. First we have...
We're all pointing at each other, pretending
On a podcast.
pretending that we don't have egos. Hi, my name's Gina Rakicki, and I'm one of the hosts of Naked City.
Hi, I'm Bernard Clark. You can call me Bernie. I'm co-host and co-producer on the show as well.
Excellent, excellent. So tell us a bit about the wonderful thing that is Naked City, where it started and where it has arrived at.
Oh, that's a.
And just how naked is it?
It's surprisingly chaste, actually.
Yeah.
Although,
Shame.
I mean, whatever you want it to be, I guess. You know,
Bernie's punishments could involve potential nudity if...
they usually involve putting stuff on
Okay.
rather than taking stuff off. We
Yes.
we did
Cart
have one
before
guy.
horse. Cart before horse. We got to tell them
Yeah.
what our show even is before
Oh
we talk
yeah,
about punishments.
that's true. All right.
Let's not bury the lead. But
Get right to the punishments. That's all we want to hear.
all right.
a bunch of fucking masochists.
Okay, all right. So here's the deal. There's this other show in town called Right Club Atlanta.
We've had them on.
Yeah, Right Club Atlanta. Nicholas Tukoski and Mike Johns. They co-produce it. Nick is the host. And they go up once a month over at the Highland Ballroom. They've been around for a minute. And after was it a year in?
It was a year after the Atlanta chapter was up and running because technically Right Club is a creation out of Chicago. There's a guy named Ian Belknap, who was the creator of it, and he has done a sort of mini franchising of this particular live literature event.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite cranky bastards.
Yeah. He's a lovely curmudgeon.
Yeah.
So Right Club had found its sea legs and was already drawing a fantastic audience at that point. But one of the issues was that we didn't have anything that was owned by Atlanta.
Yeah, and Nick wanted to kind of open up the lit scene a little bit more and get some more shows and get some more sort of stuff going. So he called a meeting, got a bunch of people together, and was like, "Hey, I want to put some shows together. Let's have a big meeting and talk about what kind of shows we want to do." And so we all got together, and I think it was a Thinking Man's Tavern. We
Absolutely
took up one of the big giant long tables like the Last Supper, and we all sat around and got drunk and took notes, and we just spitballed ideas, and then somehow out of that, that's all. That particular night is very hazy. I
think one thing that's also important to mention with the Atlanta live literature scene is that there's a lot of heavy drinking involved.
Yeah.
We made a lot of progress the first hour. The last 3 hours, I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, but we were all very funny and attractive during those hours. With kind of what Nick was doing was sort of sounding people that he thought were great personalities and that he knew were creators and were writers themselves.
Yeah.
So out of that, the idea of Naked City came.
Well, it wasn't called Naked. The idea,
No.
So the idea that came out of that meeting was we wanted to do an open mic night,
But not call it an open mic night.
We wanted to make an open mic night that didn't seem like, sound like, or feel like a regular open mic night.
Because that comes with a lot of
connotation.
Bullshit.
People think like, oh, it's going to be one of those things.
Listen, most open mic nights suck.
Yes.
So out of that meeting came the idea that Gina and I were going to do an open mic night. We didn't know what we were going to call it, but we did know it was going to have something called the Wheel of Consequences.
The Wheel of Consequences, that came first.
That was one of the first ideas that came up.
It's like, I have this wheel. Kind of build a show around making people get
pretty much.
And this was all happening out of, at that point in time, it was happening out of Push Push.
Push Push Theater.
Because Push Push was, they had been hosting Right Club, and they were loving the money and the foot traffic that Right Club was bringing into their space.
Yeah,
even though Push Push has been a very non-traditional theater from word go.
Yeah, they were
kind
sponsoring
of all
us
over the place too.
Yeah, they were sponsoring us at that point. So we got together and we got it off the ground, and we put the show together, and we had.
And it was called Naked City from the get-go, or
we
yeah.
Well, no.
From the first show.
No. Well, from the first show, yes, but in the weeks leading up to the first show, we actually crowdsourced the name. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, Jesus, I don't remember what I put on this morning.
So
long ago.
Zombie makeup, from what I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
for those playing at home, it'll be 4 years that we've been in operation come this summer.
I put out an email to a whole bunch of people in the lit scene. I was like, hey, who's got ideas for a name for the show? And so several people got back to me with like a couple of different names, and I picked like the 4 or 5 that I liked the best, and ran them by Gina and was like, hey, are these okay? And Gina was just like, yeah, whatever. Make the show happen.
I like that I'm dismissive. Thanks a lot. Anyway, the name was chosen, and at the same time,
we voted on it. So we got the names. We brought them to a Right Club. You don't remember any of this.
No.
I brought them to a Right Club, and I had a clipboard. And before and after the show, I went around to the entire audience. And
16 people.
Yeah. No, this was right. This was like when Right Club was like starting to hit its stride. So I mean, there were like
20.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And all of them were our friends, and they were all drunk and laying on couches.
So I had a sign-up sheet, and I had basically people voted on what name they wanted, and then the name that ended up getting the most votes was Naked City, which was my personal. That was the one that I really, really wanted. Which was actually suggested by Rob Mosca.
That makes sense because Rob Mosca is another. He's a local writer, and he
novelist. Yeah.
He is very well steeped in kind of like the private eye genre,
film noir,
and
well, my first thought was that it was from Dragnet. There are 10 million stories in the Naked City.
That's actually that show was called Naked City.
It was called Naked City.
The Naked City. There was a movie. There was a movie, and it was a detective cop police procedural, but it was done with a
private dick.
It was done with a cinema verite style. Yep. It was one of the first kind of movies like that. And then they made a TV show.
What?
Cinnamon verite.
Cinnamon verite. I got one of those.
That's your Bond girl name.
I got it.
Cinnamon verite.
But it doesn't sound like genitalia. How will that work?
They don't all sound like genitalia. Just like
90% of them
most
do.
of them.
Okay.
Just half of them.
Yeah.
All right. So
Jenny Flex.
All right,
while this is happening, this has become a Wednesday night live literature series with Push Push, right? So Right Club is one of them. We're slated to be one of them. And then Topher Payne had his own show also at this time that was created in conjunction with these. That was like you were... The conceit of it was that you were professors... And
it was you're like you were teaching a lecture.
You were teaching a lecture, but it was themed. It was another themed show.
Yeah, that's cool.
But that one, much like Right Club, was curated in the sense that people were invited to write and invited to perform
and given a prompt and
what we wanted to do with Naked City was we wanted to create an entree into the Atlanta live literature scene where there was already a strong storytelling contingent. With like Stories on the Square or Carapace and that kind of all that stuff was kind of happening at the same time.
And we knew a lot of writers who were writing and who were participating in the theater scene but not performing their stuff.
Yeah.
And we knew a lot of writers. We knew a lot of there was an existing lit scene that was sort of formed up, and then we wanted to create basically an entryway for which anybody who wanted to get involved with writing and performing and showing off their work would have a platform for that. So the idea was to make it as egalitarian and as open and as inviting as possible. To make something that literally anybody can walk in off the street and go, I've written this, I've literally scrawled my heart's desire onto a napkin.
In the parking lot.
With my own
5
blood.
minutes ago.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, cool, sign up.
But that's legit. I mean, that's really cool that you gave an avenue for people to do
Sure.
It was set up for people who are petrified of speaking in front of a live audience.
But here's the thing, too. At the same time, lots of open mic shows try to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we wanted to do is be able to provide that platform where anybody can walk in the door and have a shot at getting up there, and also for it to be kind of from the get-go, it was designed to be kind of a nexus for the community, where people could meet and like minds could like collaborate and like, oh, I write stuff, and I still saw you tonight, that's cool, we should get together and have drinks and talk about our writing, whatever.
Yeah, but like at the end of a piece, nobody was going to be snapping their fucking fingers, and there wasn't this type of heavy overlay.
The goal was to do all of that and not have the show suck.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be like we call it circus literati. We wanted it to be a wild time every time, so that even if like in the early months when we got started, Bernie and I would both have to read pieces because we didn't have enough people to make the lowest of what we thought would make an actual show. Lowest number of readers. We eventually had to put a lottery system in place because we had people showing up we had more than enough people showing up every single month to read. But it was a place for people to connect. It was a place for people who were published, who weren't published, who had read their stuff, who hadn't read their stuff, who wanted to write a song or get up and do something stupid.
For people who were writing but had never performed their work and wanted to practice or gain experience in front of an audience.
In a warm room. Yeah. Like that was, we wanted to make sure from the beginning that it's always a warm room.
Yeah, very friendly environment.
First time you get up to read, I try to make sure that I can identify you, number one, because my memory's terrible. And even though, because some people, now we're far enough into the game that some people read like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I don't remember them. So I'm like, oh, you're here for the first time. And they're like, no. And I'm like, I'm really sorry.
I thought that was just me.
I'm really sorry.
Like, she doesn't remember you? Is that what
yeah, no. She doesn't ever remember.
I forget.
But,
I forget.
Yeah, I walk on the door. She's like, oh, shit, this guy.
There's something familiar about his face. I can't put my finger on it.
Please don't put your finger on my face.
You were just talking about paying people to put your finger.
That's different. I'm in control then.
When there we find the crux of our issues, gentle listeners. So it's the basic format of the show now, right? So we started at Push Push, eventually Push Push kind of dissolved from its physical location.
Yeah, they became a touring company that does a lot of stuff internationally.
They do a lot of international stuff.
But they lost their space.
A lot of film-based stuff. So they've moved on, and then we were able to, based on an introduction that they gave us with the goat farm, they helped form that relationship with the goat farm, and then we've kind of taken it from there.
Yeah.
Now, for people who aren't aware of what the goat farm is, why don't you tell our listeners?
The goat farm is a
magical place.
It's the Goat Farm Arts Center. You can find it on Facebook, or you can find it in the background of a number of different dystopian movies that were filmed in Atlanta, such as The Hunger Games.
Okay, so everybody knows what the maybe not. A lot of people who live in Atlanta know what the Woodruff Arts Center is, right? So for those of you who aren't from Atlanta, don't know. your city might have something like this. The Woodruff Art Center is this. It's effectively an arts complex. It has our largest museum, the High Museum. It also is very close to and practically adjoining the Fox Theater.
The Alliance Theater.
Or the Alliance Theater. The Alliance Theater is
the Symphony.
Fox is just down the street, like a block.
Yeah, but I mean, the Alliance,
the Alliance
and Fox,
Theater is
they employ about the same amount of Atlanta actors.
Yeah, the Alliance is the largest. Is Atlanta's regional theater. So the Woodruff Art Center is this, and it's attached to a school, and it's this massive complex, sprawling complex, full of all of this. State and city approved arts organizations.
Yes. Right. It's like a petri dish where you can find culture.
Yeah, yeah. But it is effectively a fortress of mainstream art in the city of Atlanta. Yep. So what the Goat Farm is the exact antithesis to that. They are a rundown, shambling complex made out of the bones of an ancient, like centuries-old industrial complex that they've turned into a sort of weird arts compound where there are businesses
and a commune a bit where artists live in.
Well, people buy. There's apartments that you can live in. There's studio lofts. There's business space. People buy offices. There's businesses in the complex.
Because one of the things to remember about the Goat Farm Arts Center is that it is owned and operated by a couple of real estate developers who have had other very successful, very for-profit ventures, and they created this space. In my mind, to kind of balance out what that is.
Karmically, but also perhaps tax write-offedly?
Possibly.
Maybe.
But I have to say that working with them has been, they have been so supportive, and we could not have run the show in the way that we have been able to run it without the support that we've gotten from the Goat Farm. Not only do we get to do it in this beautiful coffee shop, the War Horse, where the backdrop every month is just a wall of books, and then there are always these lovely, gentle people who are working our bar, or we get there and they help set up chairs, and I won't go into the.
They're also in the process of kind of colonizing downtown too.
That wouldn't surprise me.
They've
revitalizing.
They've been taking over spaces in certain parts of South Downtown, and in fact, there's the big push to revitalize South Downtown. Have you heard about that going on? South Downtown has been a shit show for decades, and there's been a push to make it something that's actually like a community and livable, and putting art and murals,
but not mixed use fuckery.
No, not
like some real development.
Yeah, but like real community based development where you're working with the people who live in and around there and who work there and the businesses who are there, and they're all kind of working together. That whole movement, I found out, is mostly being spearheaded by the Goat Farm.
That does not surprise me.
They're basically what they're doing is they're like, we can develop stuff and make space for businesses and at the same time facilitate art and work with the community and make things that are
affordable to the people that live in the neighborhood.
Yeah, like we can make money and be decent human beings who celebrate the arts. Like that's possible. It's possible for those things to coexist and not just be shitbags all the time. So
I can honestly say in my many years on this planet that I have never been involved with or seen an organization like this before, where
they're fairly unique.
Where I mean, I don't want to get into the financial breakdown of how the relationship between Naked City and the Goat Farm, but suffice it to say that without the Goat Farm, there probably wouldn't be a Naked City.
Yeah.
Because they have just been so, other than squaring away our communication a couple of times, but they've been so hands off about go in there and create. Yeah. Do whatever you want to do. We are excited to have you here. We're going to try to make sure that this is a lovely environment for the people who come. It's just really weird because I lived in New York for enough years that I'm just like, when am I going to wake up in a bathtub without my kidneys? You know, like,
but you're not cynical.
Going to see theater means you take your life in your own hands.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm used to very much. I mean, and that's not to say that, you know, Bernie and I don't invest our own money into the show, because we do every single month. But and neither of us are rich. Please know.
The show has become. It started out we were putting a lot of our own money in it, because here's the thing: we bring a lot of props. It's ridiculous. We
well, explain to the to the listeners.
All right, so
every month
it's not just open mic, folks. There's more.
Every month there is a theme. Okay, we put the themes out through the Goat Farm page and through our own page. And we've been doing it the past couple of years, where the entire year of prompts is available. So you can go and you can look and be like, oh, this month is greed, or this month is, you know, existence, or whatever it is. So based on that theme, we want you to show up with 5 minutes of prepared material. Mm-hmm. It can be written. Actually, it could be improvised if you wanted to do 5 minutes.
Yeah,
of
prepared.
off the cuff.
We use the term prepared loosely.
Yeah.
What we mean is, don't get up on the mic and choke. Like, get up there and do something.
Have an idea about what you're going to be doing.
Do something for 5 minutes.
And by choke, I don't mean like don't get so nervous, or like if you get that nervous, I'll go up and I'll stand next to you and I'll hold your hand. Like, and I'm not being a smartass. I'm being literal. Like, I want, and Bernie feels the same way. We want to make sure that, you know, one of the most beautiful things I can see, and that I've had the pleasure and the privilege to see, is when we have people who come up and they stand at the lectern for that 5 minutes, and their legs are like liquid under them.
Oh yeah, you can see them shaking.
They're just vibrating. They're just shaking, and they're holding on to the lectern for dear life, and they're getting through their 5 minutes, and it is so fucking brave, and it is so cool. So you show up, and then now we have a lottery system. So you show up, you sign up. There's 5 minutes. There's usually, traditionally, like 11 spots. Mm-hmm. Then if we go over that 11 spots with people who have signed up to perform,
we assign you a number on a poker chip. We put it in a pumpkin bucket.
Mm-hmm. Now, not everybody knows this about the pumpkin bucket. Bernie, I don't think you even know this. The pumpkin bucket has been with me since I was a kid.
Well, I told you day one that it's identical to the one I had when I was 7.
No, absolutely.
But, it's an old school 70s trick-or-treat pumpkin bucket.
It is a large, bright orange plastic jack-o'-lantern bucket.
Where, like, the black has been, like, worn off of the eye sockets and everything. Yeah. Partially because it's been through a lot with me. Especially the last night that I ever drank Southern Comfort. And I ended up on the floor of my dorm puking into the pumpkin bucket.
You're right, I never knew that.
Yep, so next time you're reaching there to pull out a poker chip,
just think of that.
Yeah.
Have you ever washed it?
Of course I have.
Because I never have.
You know, that thing had a life before it met you.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Don't judge it like an ex-girlfriend. It just had a life. It had a life before it met you.
Yeah, I didn't know it was filled with vomit at some point.
Have you met me? Yeah. Have you not figured out that everything I touch is at some point it's been garbage? Or will become garbage?
I thought you were going to say everything you touched was once filled with vomit.
That too. I don't know.
Fair assumption.
Use it as a metaphor.
You ever open your purse a lot?
Not anymore.
Okay, good.
I've learned I'm a lady now. I'm a delicate lady with refined sensibilities that enjoys drinking Chardonnay out of a juice box.
Adult juice boxes are a staple of Naked City.
Yeah, adult juice boxes are where it's at, man. Those are those little tiny box wines that have like the screw top on it.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Single serving, or theoretically
best.
single.
No, that's totally single serving. That's totally single serving, Michael. That's single serving.
This is my life.
All right, so you show up, you sign up, there's a theme, right? We will randomly choose your name. Even if it's only 11 people, we still choose people through the Vomity Pumpkin Bucket poker chips. We choose them in a random order, so you'll get called up to read in a random order.
I just love the sound that a handful of poker chips makes inside a plastic
Vomity
pumpkin.
Pumpkin Bucket.
Yeah, it's a unique sound.
It is. When you stick your paw in there and you're rattling it around, it sounds like something's going to change for the better.
Excited to hear that.
But it never does.
Or the worse.
Yeah.
It just sounds like change.
Yeah. Change.
Loose change.
So they have 5 minutes to read. What happens if they violate the 5-minute rule?
Well,
So,
if they go over 5.
If you go over 5, if you stray off topic, or if I don't like the cut of your jib,
which she
frequently do not like.
She doesn't like jibs.
I
That's
hate
the
them.
line.
That's the thing. I hate sailors.
Cut them anyway. Cut
I
them
hate
anyway.
chips. I hate jibs. So that just means that anyone's fair game to get up and spend the wheel of consequences, which is what we mentioned earlier, which is the thing that we thought of before we even thought of really what the name of the show was going to be. And that is a wheel that is full of
Okay, so first off, it's a giant spinny wheel like on The Price is Right.
Yeah.
Right? And
It's
it's
huge.
broken up into 8 sections, and each section is a whiteboard.
And they're dry erase, yeah.
It's dry erase whiteboard. And every month, we put in some punishments and some prizes.
Also known as Bags and Fun Times with a Z.
Yeah, bags and fun times.
And they're whatever theme it is for that month, that those 6 slots they go along with that.
Yeah, there's 3 prizes and 3 fun times, 3 bags, because there's always 2 on the board that are there every month, which is one is you buy us a drink, the other is we buy you a drink.
Yeah.
Because we like drinking.
Yeah.
I think everyone should drink.
And we think that in the we buy you a drink is singular, not the whole audience. We had a serious discussion about that.
Yeah.
Especially
And,
the couple months that it just kept landing on that anytime people.
Well, we fixed that though.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
we rigged it.
the first
what?
the first time I read, I was like, "Oh God, what am I going to get?" And I got a cider out of it.
Yeah, you got a
Oh,
cider.
no, see?
So even if you fuck around and you,
Especially if you fuck
and you
around.
piss us off, you still might end up with a prize bag. So Gina comes up with the prizes, and then my job is to come up with the punishments, and then we administer them throughout the show, and then we
much fun is had. I mean,
Yeah.
and let it be known that the punishments are usually very personal and strange, and sometimes involve gravy.
I like
Yes.
I'm a big fan of Japanese game shows.
Yeah.
Like the really weird ones. So I'm always trying to come up with stuff that's like, I got to have one that involves food or liquid. I got to have one that involves like forcing somebody to dress in a costume.
Basically,
preferably
you
something
could stick to your
embarrassing.
seats of your car on the way home. Should you
Yeah.
get a
I was
Bernie
really
punishment?
proud of. Okay, two of my most favorite punishments ever.
Okay.
Are from this month and the month before.
Oh wow.
Oh.
The one
We're
this
peaking,
month,
guys.
which is the one from this month was the one where we and I think was it you that came up with the idea
Of the birthing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
came up with the
God.
idea, and then I executed. I figured out how we could execute
Yeah.
it. So we basically forced someone to relive their birth. How that manifested is
A garbage bag.
2 people holding a flattened sheet of black plastic garbage material with a little slit cut into it. And they have to force their face through the slit while being beaten from behind with large foam swords by 2 people, while a third person screams encouraging things into their face. Like, push! Push, motherfucker, push! And
you
then,
can do this!
and then I was sitting there on the other side with a water cannon,
gun,
waiting
yeah.
to shoot them in the face as they come through the birth canal.
I will say when the shoulders pushed their way through, there was a lot of tearing in that plastic bag.
Yeah,
But it was still kind of majestic.
like a real birth.
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
There's
I have
lots
cats.
of tearing, and it's majestic.
I have cats. I'm cool with that. My vajay is a no-fly zone when it comes to children. Not interested.
Well, what was your runner-up?
No, that was the runner-up.
That was the
runner-up.
Oh, it gets better.
This man has showmanship, folks. He'll tell you. There's an order.
Was it the one you did to Arian?
I really want to see
No. My favorite one ever was last month, which was Oblivion. Oblivion was the theme, right? The theme was Oblivion. So I had a punishment for Oblivion, the video game, Oblivion, the concept, and Oblivion, the movie with Tom Cruise. And so for the Oblivion, the movie with Tom
that
Cruise,
was really great.
I had two people.
All right, hold on. Spoiler alert. There's clones.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's the Oblivion spoiler
If
alert.
you haven't seen the movie Oblivion, it's a science fiction film set in the far future. After
Starring Tom Cruise.
Is this the one where he keeps trying to do something, he dies, but he's back?
No. That came out after.
This is the one before it.
Oh.
It looks
Which I'm apparently the only person on the planet who actually likes that movie, Oblivion.
I just hate Tom Cruise.
Yeah, everyone hates Tom Cruise now, but it's fine. Whatever.
Whatever, I was hating him first.
He meets a clone of himself and they fight. So he finds out that he's a clone. He doesn't know he's a clone. So he fights. So I got these two paper masks I printed out from the internet of Tom Cruise. Each one made a different facial expression, and they're the worst facial expressions I could find. So there's literally, it's one of Tom Cruise like screaming with like maniacal joy and rage.
Oh,
and
couch jumping Cruise.
Yeah, and then the other one is a picture of him with just this like weird, fucked up, wild-eyed sneer.
That would be any Scientology video.
Yeah, they're like they're gross. They're gross. They're like the most crazy pictures of Tom Cruise, and I had them put them on, and then they had to battle with water guns.
But there weren't holes cut into the.
Yeah, so they were blind.
So we were blind. I begged to be able to do this one. I never get to participate in the punishments, and so I begged to be able to do this one.
So they're fighting with water guns in the aisle, in the audience, wearing blind because they're wearing paper Tom Cruise masks, screaming at each other, while my sound guy, Grayson Bergman, the much put upon sound engineer who does our show.
God bless him.
He didn't know there's gonna be water involved in that show, and I didn't tell him. And the way I oriented them, they were shooting onto the soundboard, so he's leaning over the soundboard, like trying to cover the sound equipment. But you guys are both wincing, like visibly. It's great.
Yeah.
So he's like leaning over the soundboard, screaming while they're fighting in the aisle, and the audience is going absolutely apeshit with these horrible Tom Cruise faces. Like that was pure chaos. That was money. That was good.
Which is
that was so.
As
good.
I have come to understand, Bernie fucking loves chaos. What? Like, the more chaos, the more tension between a reader and an audience, the more something is possibly going off the rails. We both sit behind the wheel during the show, and there have been times when I've looked over him like, what the fuck is happening? And he's just like... his little fingers are like templed, and he's clapping them together excitedly.
The Mr. Burns.
Well, because because that's theater, and that's
Bernie likes the chaos instigated by Bernie.
I enjoy. Okay, look, this comes from
however it's brought,
years and years of
he's
doing
an old punk,
years of listening to punk rock and doing avant-gardist surrealist theater, like what. Everything I do in the arts is all oriented around getting an audience to experience something real out of something fake. Right. And there's the two most surefire ways for that to happen is when something in a performance is going wrong, then everyone's having a real experience. Or if there is so much shit happening around you, the audience member, that you don't know what the fuck is going on, you are having a real experience. So in that sense,
in rare moments where everybody knows, everybody is having their most pure idea of like everybody's on board with what's happening. Like for one of the bags, like sometimes I like to make bags that are also experiences or weird things. And God, I can't remember which month it was for, but it was the bag of glass. I think it was like anger, or it was some variation on anger or rage or something. And so I made sure that
it was wrath.
Was it wrath? It was wrath. We had
last year. It was all the 7 deadly sins and 4 of the cardinal virtues.
Yeah, there are themes, guys. There's themes within memes. Incept memes.
So yeah, you had a bag of glass.
So I had a bag of. I went through a dollar store, which is I just do that now. It's part of my monthly life.
Spend a lot of time at
it's dollar stores, in a grocery store, and sometimes a liquor store.
That's all right. I spent an awful lot of time in the Target toy department.
Yeah.
So do we.
Girl,
maybe not for the same reason.
You gotta go. You gotta go to some dollar stores. You can get some good toys on the cheap.
Yeah, but I never find anything like quite big enough. Like I look for things that are large, like the fanoodle shaped like a dragon that I brought in.
You don't want a squirt gun. You want a squirt bazooka.
Yeah, right. I don't ever want to come in with like something little that looks like I got it at a dollar store. I want to come in with something that looks like I, dug it up somewhere, like it's 4 feet long and
all right.
Has paddles on it.
Before we get too far away talking about your phallic water cannon,
whatever.
This bag, I went and I bought all of these various forms of glass, like a cheap coffee mug with a super trite saying on it, and just terrible things that make me angry.
That's everything.
I know, but sometimes I can choose. It's the whole signal to noise ratio. And so I made sure that it was one before intermission, and then during intermission, I cleared it with the goat farm, and we all went outside, and I had the girl who won it break every single piece of glass that was in there, throwing it against the stairs. So the audience was standing.
Stairs,
The audience was standing back.
Yeah, we're all outside for the intermission.
And we're all just frothing because there's number one, there's something so wonderful about the sound of breaking glass, and then number two, this girl is this beautiful, tiny, close crop hair dancer who that month she performed.
Was it that show?
Yeah, it was that show. She was doing
for Wrath.
She was doing interpretive dance
for this other guy's sort of beat poetry.
So she had just done all this beautiful dance, and then she goes out there and just unleashes
and destroys all the glass. Yeah.
And that's when I was wearing my Glum Cunt T-shirt.
Yeah,
because it was a Halloween show.
Yeah.
And so I was gun control. So Glum control.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember the one piece of glass that she didn't break?
God, these are details that I rely on other people to remember.
It was one of those cheap bottles of champagne.
Oh, really?
And she gave it to me.
Yeah.
And I threw it at the stairs, and it bounced up. It would not break until it came down. After bouncing off the stairs, I guess it hit the bottom of and then it broke on the ground there. I was amazed because I gave it everything I could.
You're just not good at anything.
I'm just like, I have a lot of rage.
That was a metaphorical throw.
Right.
But the crazy thing was that I had staged this, and I made sure that I had, the broom and all this kind of stuff, that it was only happening in one area.
Right.
Got it.
But then I had audience members coming up to me afterwards going,
"Can I try that?
Can I throw my beer bottle?" And I just looked at him, and usually, at that point, I'm like at least half a juice box in, and I was just like, "Yeah, I don't care. Go ahead. Just, don't hurt yourself. And if you do, it's not my fault."
Now try to do something like this at any other venue than the goat farm. It's not going to go well.
I mean, and so I'm,
what art?
Their gift of freedom has inspired such loyalty in us, in the sense of I break down the chairs after every show. I make sure I pick up all of the floor candy that is still on the floor. It's a basic respect thing.
We trash the place.
Yeah,
we get water all over the floor.
Sometimes
candy,
there's confetti, because I really
glitter.
like those little champagne popper things.
Sometimes
with
there's afterbirth, apparently.
Gravy.
Gravy.
Sometimes.
Oh god. Well, there was that one where
We had to douse the Twinkie in gravy,
and then eat it, Lady and the Tramp style.
And who's the dude that does another show? It was I'm blanking on his name.
Was it Ian?
No. It's a dude who does a comedy, stand-up comedy and stuff, and sketch comedy. God, I'm blanking on his name right now. He comes to the show periodically, and I can't remember his name. He's
not Ian Custer.
Yeah, it was Ian Custer.
Okay, I said Ian.
Oh.
But it wasn't Ian Campbell, which is the one who
when you said Ian, I always think Ian Campbell.
No, Ian Custer.
It was Ian Custer. Yeah, so he
runs the Rookery
Radio Hour.
Hour.
The Rookery Radio Hour. Which,
Hour. And now I've had a stroke.
Champagne.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So here's something magical for you who are following at home. There's a giant bottle of cheap champagne.
There is.
That's why I'm here to provide it.
That's in the fridge. And while I am eschewing the deliciousness of pizza because I had cold Chinese food before I came here, I'm a lady. I am now getting to drink tumblers full of cheap champagne. And boy, howdy, guys.
We treat our guests well at the Pod
America's
Bunker.
Great, right?
Yeah.
Right? We don't need to make it. We don't need to make it great again. It's already great.
That's right.
Fuck you, Trump.
Yeah.
All right. So, have we covered pretty much the format?
Oh, who knows? Yeah. I mean, then
there's at the beginning of the show. Spoiler alert. We decided. Thank you so much, Courtney.
We decided day one that when we were done with our intro, we wanted to make sure the audience was awake
and not complacent, because there's this idea. And something that we really came across like early in the production of the show, where people go to writing events as that they view them as these very quiet, staid kind of. And it's not that we want to have a lack of respect, because if you get disrespectful at my show, I will read you to filth.
Oh yeah.
And I have read people to filth at our show before.
There's a certain idea that's been around a long time that real art, good art, highbrow art should be graceful and poised and should be.
But I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
And again, it goes back to what we were saying about having an experience.
Yeah.
Right. Real art is art that provokes and gets in your face and makes you think and stirs shit up and says uncomfortable things and makes people
whatever you decide
it
is what it is.
But one of the things that I think is also important is that we're living in really dark times right now. It's things are really difficult, and people want to laugh, and people want to blow off steam, and people want to get loud in a safe environment where they know that they're with people who are going to high-five them, and, that it's okay if you have a mental illness, or it's okay if you have, a functioning family of 4, or, if you're a pastor, or if you're a gutter punk, or... Like, it's really a level playing field where...
And I'm sure it's very therapeutic as well.
Oh,
to
yeah.
be able to just talk to a room full of strangers.
Oh, I thought you were talking about throwing candy at people's faces. That's very therapeutic for me.
That's therapeutic for us. I used to play softball, and I do not hold back. I was a catcher.
I throw overhand.
Yeah,
I know, because I always stand at the back, and several times you have whizzed above my head.
Well, because I'm trying to make sure that people get candy in the back of the house.
So are we talking Kit Kats, or are we talking like Jawbreakers? Are we talking like,
okay, so number one, it varies from month to month.
There's always chocolate. There's always
on
chocolate
our budget.
bars.
Right. It hasn't always been chocolate.
During summer, it's
chocolate's expensive and chocolate melts.
Oh yeah.
I try to make sure that there's at least a little bit of chocolate, because that's what I eat.
But I mean, we've also thrown lollipops with sticks in the...
My favorite was this month, because it's Easter. They had the little chocolate Easter eggs.
Man.
The bullets.
Yeah.
So I got a big bag of those. So I was winging those by the handful at the audience. People were going, "Ow, my eye!" Like... I mean, we say watch your eyes right before we throw it. But.
Yeah.
Because once again, we're not responsible.
That's right. That's all the legal indemnity you need. I said watch your eyes.
You come into
this...
this...
a waiver before?
You know what? Showing up is your waiver.
Yeah.
Yep.
I went to a lit show and I got my skull cracked by a gobstopper.
Exactly. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And for all this chaos, though, for people who are thinking, like, maybe I might want to read, it's very, I don't want to say necessarily nurturing, but it's, they got your back. Like, if you're up there, you get respect for just having the balls to get up there.
The rhythm of the show is very interesting because all the chaos that we're describing is all the stuff that happens in between the pieces.
Right. The pieces themselves are...
We're like the loud, angry Easter challah bread.
And also, like, not just angry, but also raucously joyous.
Yeah.
You know?
We're ridiculous, and we're like this weird setting piece for the Easter eggs that are the pieces themselves. So what happens? We get up there, we make a lot of noise, we make jokes, and we throw stuff at the audience, and then we introduce somebody, and we bring them up, and we treat them like they're a rock star, and we introduce them like they're a headliner, and we bring them up, and we get the audience to applaud, and we're like, these guys are going to knock it out for you, and then we step off of the mic, and then it's just that person. Mm-hmm. And it's them in the audience, and so people get up and they do all kinds of stuff. People get up and do poetry, and they do stories, and they do extemporaneous essays, and they do.
We have a couple that's involved with the Atlanta
Radio Theater Company.
Oh yeah, we know those guys.
Yeah. And
I don't know if they're a couple; they're friends.
Okay, well, they're a couple of badasses.
They are a couple of badasses.
Yeah.
Good job, Gina. You totally saved it.
Yeah.
It's not awkward now. But they get up and they do essentially like radio theater.
They do little bits, yeah. Usually
and it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's either and sometimes. Well, she used to get up and do stuff. She hasn't done it in a while, but she would get up and do stuff that was like performance pieces.
Yeah, like monologues.
Little spoken word performance pieces, monologues, where she would do them in character.
He had an amazing conceit last season.
Was it last year or the year before?
Might have been the year before.
It was the year
so
before.
bad with time. It's slipping away.
For an entire year.
For an entire year, and somehow the fates totally favored him, where he got, like, we do not rig that bucket, but he got pulled up every month. This is David Benedict.
Oh, yeah.
Where he came up with a fantastic conceit of telling part of a short story and then giving the audience a which way.
A choose your own adventure
story. Yeah.
So they got, even if they were hearing it for the first time or if they had followed the entire saga, it was just such a brilliant use of the platform to be like, this is something neat that I'm going to do that nobody else was doing.
And it was a weird kind of bizarre, surrealist, science fiction-y kind of vaguely, but it was a private detective, like a classic film noir, hard-boiled gumshoe detective story, but like involving like Nazi talking cats and like. Weird clones of his brother, and it got weird.
And this was one story that he continued throughout the run. That
he wrote and performed this story over the course of a year. Where every month he came in with the new chapter. He read the chapter
based on what the audience had chosen the month before, the direction that they were like. He was like, "Do I go down this blind alley or do I go catch a cab in the street?" And they're like, blind alley," and he picks up. The next month at the blind alley, and it was so deftly done, and it was fun. It was such an honor to have somebody really feeling their creative mojo like that, and something that that's kind of our goal is to
we create a platform.
Yeah,
we're literally just what we do is we're having a show where we don't know what performers are showing up.
That's what David Benedict did is. Vaguely similar-ish to something that I had thought of during the break. I wanted to remember when I wanted to know all the topics in advance. I wanted to tell one story
that tied
all throughout all the themes.
Yeah, you still, and I've said this to you before. There's still nothing stopping you from.
You absolutely can.
Yeah.
You can tell a story going backwards and forwards with the themes.
Oh yes.
Like there are absolutely no restrictions except.
The whole jib thing?
The jib.
Goddamn jibs. No,
uncircumcised jibs.
We had one guy. We had one guy that. We had one guy once that kind of he veered into some dark territory.
I've had that happen a couple of times.
It was just when it started getting it was number one real into conspiracy theories, and then number two it started getting like he started like nibbling at the edges of anti-Semitism.
Yep.
And I'm just like, if you come on my stage and you think that you're gonna have, if you try to use our platform for hate, I will fucking shiv you in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Because there's enough of it in the world, and I know that I'm answering with violence, but no one said I'm balanced. But we had that guy, and then we had a guy who we brought up for a punishment, which every now and then we get people from who look like they maybe came in from the burbs or something like that. They found out maybe we're on some try this tonight or something website. And there was it was a funny punishment where he had to. It was another Lady in the Tramp one with the candy bar. Remember where you had to eat half the candy bar
with
you?
Me, wasn't it? Right?
It was with
it's
you.
Always any time where eating brings your face in contact with mine. It's always me.
Yeah, it's not me, guys. And so he started kind of getting bro-y homophobic.
He was decidedly uncomfortable. Which
and
here's the thing: you got offended. I was delighted.
Once again,
absolutely delighted.
Chaos, righteous indignation. It is the two sides of the same delicious coin.
I don't remember. I don't remember him saying anything.
Yes, he said some stuff. He was like, "No, I'm not going to do that, man. What, you want me to eat that with he was talking to me. He's like, what, I need to eat that candy bar off his face.
First
blah,
off,
blah,
he
blah.
wasn't that rednecky.
I don't know. His open
wasn't.
Hairless shirt and his
he
gold
had more
chain
of a
on it.
look. He had more of a frat boy vibe.
All right,
he had more.
all right. So I'm not going to
Yeah,
eat that.
that's better. That's
There you
better.
go.
Oh,
Well,
man.
let's connect this
Come
together
on.
for everybody. Everyone's like, well, where do these punishments in these bags come from? If you go over the 5 minutes, that's when you spin the wheel.
Right.
That's what triggers the wheel.
Well, no. Understand, this guy came to the show, was not a participant, had not written anything.
I didn't like his jib, Michael.
Here's how it works.
He showed up with a pop collar salmon shirt open onto a hairless chest with a gold chain. I'm gonna bring you up just because you're so different.
Sometimes
Understand.
there'll be
And I wanna
five or
play with
six
you.
readers that
You're so
don't go
different.
over, and you go, you know what? We got punishment, so if no one's going over,
That's
you.
it's not a secret, but it's kind of, we don't talk about it directly, but basically when we're behind the wheel while somebody's doing a piece and we're listening, sometimes we're leaning in hey, we haven't given any prize bags away, and it's been 5 readers, so after this guy, we should probably just pull somebody up and make them spin the wheel. So we're trying to get through all our punishments and prizes.
We want to make sure that the money that we've spent
doesn't go to waste.
On that whorish wheel.
It's nothing more horrible than going home with a dragon-shaped fanoodle that you paid for that never got used.
And then you got to explain it to your significant other, just
I got a story here for the next month.
Yeah, I'm sorry, honey. I have a bag full of Catholic school supplies and suppositories. I don't know what to do with it.
So that guy got singled out. One, because he just kind of looked like a douchebag.
But
Two,
but here's the thing. I will bring you up. He looked so different that I wanted to bring him up and play.
Right.
Because just because you look different doesn't mean that you're not going to have a great sense of play and you're not going to get up there and want to have a good time with us.
Sure.
My problem with him was that he came up there and then immediately started chafing in a way that was distinctly homophobic.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry,
Which is why I took great delight in
don't start no more
making lip-to-lip contact with him. When
I
Andy and I got
know.
close together.
I was just like, slime him.
I was like, get in there.
Slime him.
I was get in there. Chocolate
And,
on my beard.
And his whole group
your
left
face.
right after that.
Yeah.
Which I'm cool with.
Yeah. That was fun.
If you're not down with what we do, then either don't show up or leave.
Yeah.
If you want to come and have a good time in a place where we want to be cool to each other, but we also sort of want to act like 5-year-olds that are off their Ritalin, then come hang out. You know? I feel like having a no asshole policy is just like it's just really basic. It's really, really basic.
I can't stand behind that because that would preclude me from doing the fucking show that I produce.
You get like
You're grandfathered in.
Exactly.
Grandfathered into the no asshole policy.
All right, then one asshole.
One asshole policy.
That's it. We have a one asshole policy in Naked City,
We're all full
and it's
up.
me. Got it?
We're full up. Yeah, it's and it's one of those things that other. Because in the time that we've been going, the Atlanta live literature scene has flourished into
Blown
something
up.
that's just absolutely amazing.
Blowed up.
Well, just in the last year, we've got Solve for X, Debate,
Blue Stockings.
Blue
Blue
Stockings has
Stockings,
started
yeah.
up.
Yeah, I said that on the last show. We had
The Scene Missing and Song Missing
yeah,
series.
That's true.
we
We're
had
gonna have,
Ellery from
Blue Stockings.
Blue Stockings on last week, and I was like, the fact that if you wrote that down on paper and said I'm gonna open a venue and have people come in and read. You would think that would never work, and it's booming in Atlanta. It's
It was
amazing.
actually Blue Stockings was what helped us get here today, because Gina had been she's really busy all the time. She'd been having trouble finding time to schedule for the podcast because she's been just so busy and pulled in all these different directions.
I'm really busy, and I'm also a hermit.
Yeah.
And
Not anymore.
and it's
You're an introvert. I was saying this earlier. You're an introvert who has taken an extrovert's job.
yeah, which is it's really, really hard for me. Like I just did.
You did it to yourself.
No, I know, and that's why it really hurts. I learned that from Radiohead. Tom York knew what he was saying.
So
That's
we were
why it
having
really hurts.
we were having all this trouble getting her and I together in the same room and the microphones, and then Blue Stockings, who were friends with the girls who run Blue Stockings,
The women.
the women, whatever.
Thank you.
Look, they're both younger
Sorry.
than
Again,
me.
the asshole in the room.
They're both significantly younger than me.
I understand that.
That
but,
makes them girls.
But so am I. What? I'm like morning dew on a flower petal.
You're not that much younger than me.
I used a Snapchat filter earlier that made me look like I was younger, so that's how I'm feeling.
That's fair. That's
Okay,
fair. I'll
thank
give you.
Thank you.
So anyway, I was able to go to Gina and go, Blue Stockings just did an episode. Get off your ass and make this happen. And she was like, okay, I'll do it.
This is one of the blessings that has come from having so many people who are now finding their voice and who are, I mean, you know, you get into this whole idea of like, what is success and what is, you know, why are you doing this? Why are you creating? Blah, blah, blah. We have a lot of people who are just creating because they want to create and because they want to share things with their friends. Not because they think, I mean, I know, guys, that like writing and acting is super lucrative. But people aren't doing it for attention or for any notoriety or to, you know, be the biggest dick in the room or the biggest asshole. Bernie, love you.
See?
But we are getting to work on things with friends who are saying, you know what, I was doing directing or writing or curating or these things in the past, and I kind of took a break from it. And now I can pick that up again, and here's a legion of people that you don't have to be close with somebody in the lit scene or whatever around here, or the theater scene or anything. That's one reason why I love Atlanta over New York City. I lived in New York City for a number of years. I've lived in Atlanta for almost 10 now, I guess, like 9 or 10. I love it here. The amount of people who are open to collaboration, even when you're like, I just need to hear what this sounds like out loud, which was partially what that was. You know, when we're getting together and we're figuring out, does this have legs? Can this move? Do we want to do this? You know, what's the pulse with the people in the room? Because everybody's bringing different experiences. That's amazing. And I don't know of a lot of other cities where you can have the breadth of people that you have here. You know,
the sheer spectrum of, it's not just about like Atlanta's art scene, because you cannot really say Atlanta has an art scene.
Like visual art, you mean?
And no, just art scene. Like, you can't...
like a Warhol factory scene.
Yeah,
or
you can't... But what you have...
Other than in my basement.
What you have is there's so many people from so many different disciplines and different mediums, and they're all kind of rubbing elbows that you end up finding yourself in circles where you're like, I am literally sitting at a bar with a dozen people. 2 of them are in film. Mm-hmm. 1 of them is a painter. I've got 4 writers. I've
3
got
musicians.
3 actors, 4 musicians. Like, there's literally, you can look around. This has been true for me for the last 10 years.
Can't swing a dead cat.
I go into a bar and I sit at a table with a group of people that I know, and I can look at every single person at the table and go, if we wanted to right now, we could put on a fucking show.
Yeah.
In fact, let's drink some whiskey and put on a show until they throw us out. Like, that's...
It's
I
a
love
beautiful
that
thing,
you can do that because you've got so many different types of disciplines, so many different artists all just kind of hanging out.
And that's one of the good
together
things about Naked City, in that it's not just, here's a short story, here's a poem, here's a song, here's some stand-up.
From day one, I was
Here's me just blowing off some steam.
adamant that it had to not be limited to just the lit format. Mm-hmm. I wanted the show to be, from the get-go, we envisioned
I mean,
the show.
we talked about variety format at first. I mean, we were throwing that around and, trying to make sure that we had somebody to come in to break this up or break that up. And it's
a lit show because the audience has decided that the bulk of the material are lit pieces. But the show is not really a lit show. The show is an open mic performance show. You can get up and do whatever you want. We have had people get up and sing songs, and we have had people get up and do performance and read their scripts, like have different players play different parts, and we've had people do some weird shit
that we've made them do.
Yeah. Well, then we've had people get up and do some weird shit. There's my buddy Paul, who's a musician. He came.
Paul Mercer. That was our first show.
That was our first show.
He stripped down to his unders.
He told a story from memory. He just told a story about something that happened to him.
He told a story about a Stradivarius violin.
That's right, yeah.
It was
fabulous.
Yeah, Paul's an amazing violinist.
He's a beautiful violinist and just a strange-faced golden child of weirdness.
I must meet this man.
He's great.
He's adorable. He's adorable and so odd. And at the same time, like, even though we've been involved on separate projects and we're Facebook friends, once again, I'm an introvert, and I would be nervous to go up to him and be like, hey, Paul, do you know who I am? What's up, I'm Gina. Like, even though we've worked on projects together. Just because I get really uncomfortable around people. Really, 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 really uncomfortable around people. This is okay, though. There's only 5 of us.
And
there's champagne.
Yeah, honestly, this goes a long way to making me feel a lot less nervous. But
ready
it's
for
like
the next round?
Always. I did Write Club last month, and
and killed it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. But it's the first time that I had done it in a while, and it's wonderful to get to feel that, because once we started getting people over the lottery number, Bernie and I realized that it would have to be a special piece or a special occasion if we ever threw our names into the lottery.
Yeah. Because
we don't want it to be about us. We want it to be about other people having opportunities.
That show's about us plenty.
Thank you. I know.
Yeah.
Just the right amount.
But I forgot. I mean, it is an intensely intimidating thing because it is so social. And, at Naked City, I have the blessed saving grace of being able to hide behind the wheel. My seat behind the wheel, which is like my own personal cockpit of fuckery. Where I can sit back there with lip gloss and like a juice box and just be like, everything's cool. I'm going to eat a peanut butter egg.
Juice box and peanut butter egg.
Honestly, I'm a queen. I'm a queen.
And by the way, I used to play bass for a cockpit of fuckery. Yeah.
There are times.
No, cockpit of fuckery.
There are days where I
remember those days.
I will say something random and I will hear you in my head, man, just being like, I used to play bass. And I'll be like, but it's got to be for some people who get up and you know, they're not used to that type of attention. And generally, if you, after you read, people come up to you and they want to talk to you, or they want to shake your hand, or be very friendly and be very social. And for me, that's like I'm on the road to an anxiety attack.
I don't think you're alone in that. There's lots of people.
No,
like that.
no. I know I'm not alone. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to paint myself as a special snowflake. I'm just trying to say that, like, the people who get up and read for us they're super fucking courageous.
Yeah.
And it's, as somebody who's had a career in theater, getting up and reading someone else or performing someone else's words is one thing. Mm-hmm. And there's a safety, like hiding behind that wheel and doing a character, you know. But when you're getting up there and you're reading your own words, or when you're reading, we've had people read poems from famous poets, and they're like, "This spoke to me on this topic, blah blah blah. I want to share this with you."
There is one thing.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so I'm not normally. We always have like a meta theme for our themes.
Not always.
No.
We just started past 2 years.
Past 2 years, we started doing that, and I like it. It gives it to me a greater sense of symmetry and shape.
Yeah, there's more cohesion.
Yeah. So, and it's also more interesting and easier than just coming up with a bunch of random themes every year. Every year. So we did it last year, and then this year, I'm not always like, I don't want to always like let people know what the meta theme is. So just like figure it out on your own, fuckers. Do your homework.
So you mean the whole year is a meta theme?
Yeah, there's one theme overarching. So this, but everybody was like, you started. You were like, tell everybody what it is. I'm like, fine.
But I mean, Goat Farm had already published it.
Yeah, I know.
So I mean, which is fine.
Against my wishes.
Which is their want.
That's fine.
We are their vassals,
Whatever.
sir.
They
We
give us
are their
stuff.
serfs. We are living like bloated ticks on the land of their grace. They can do whatever the fuck they want with us. Am I wrong?
No.
That's
Yeah.
right. Here
All
we
right. But so basically the theme for this coming year is or this year that we're in now. The theme is Kabbalah. It's the Kabbalistic tree of life. So each of the themes for the month is one of the major Sephiroth of the tree of life. For those of you who don't know what the Kabbalah is or anything that I'm talking about,
You
Jewish
put a red
mysticism,
string.
isn't it?
ancient Jewish mysticism.
Red string.
Going back thousands of years, they basically
Madonna.
it's a very specialized form of study within the Hebrew faith, and essentially it's all built around symbols and symbol sets, and there is this master symbol that is the core of Kabbalistic teaching, and it is basically the Jewish map of the universe as God's creation, and it's basically it's 3 columns of circles connected by lines in its most simple form. And each of the circles represents one of the spheres of creation. And the lines represent the connecting bridges and the synthesis between those spheres. But basically, you've got one sphere at the very bottom and one sphere at the very top, and then 3 columns in the middle. And the very, very, very top is Kether, that's God. That is the font of creation. That is literally the however you want to filter that, the bang, the explosion, the burst, it's light, it's creation, it's God. And then at the very, very bottom is Malkuth, which is the foundation. That is the physical world. That is the dirt and the soil and the air we breathe and the water and us walking around. That's Malkuth. And then the entire rest of creation is symbolized by the 3 columns of spheres between those 2 points. So we started out this year. There's 10 Sephiroth.
And we always take January off because the Goat Farm always closes for January.
Yeah, there's 10 Sephiroth and we have 11 months. So I was like, well, I got 10. I need one more. Where do I start? Ooh, I'll start with what is the absence of the Tree of Life. When you don't have the 10 Sephiroth, you've got Oblivion. You have nothing, the void. So our first month was Oblivion.
Which was February.
And then March was...
I like it.
Existence, wasn't it? Wasn't Existence?
No, reality.
No.
No. Oh, no. It was Existence, yes. Okay, so going to Malkuth, going to the bottom. We start with Oblivion, and then we go to the bottom, Malkuth, which is everything. That's physical, right? So, Existence. And then next month, it'll be Creation. Not just not creation the noun, but creation the verb, like the act of creation. It's the birthing from the physical world, from the dirt. We have the bean sprout of life, that first birthing of existence coming up out of the soil.
But I think one of the things to also remember, though, is that we put these things out there, and even if it's framed within a meta context, it is whatever the people who see what the theme is.
Sure.
It's however it relates to them and relates to their creative process and whatever they want to do.
And then the rest of the year, we're going to work our way up through...
Look at this. He's more prepared than we are.
He is. He totally
There's
is.
always a moment at the end of every show.
All right.
Probably about 2 readers before the end of it, where Bernie and I look at each other and go, What's the next month's theme? Do you know what the fucking next month's theme? And then one of us will feverishly pull our phone out and just be like, no, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, no, stall. Vamp.
That's because both of us share one major thing in common, which is our creative process is we write shit down as it appears in our heads, and then we never think about it again.
It's like Kaiser Sose. It's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have Malkuth, everything, the foundation, that's the material world, and then we go, April is creation, May is glory.
Holes. Sorry.
No, don't be.
I'm wrong.
Don't you ever apologize for that
Don't
joke.
you apologize to me.
That's terrible.
Don't.
That's terrible.
I know.
That's bad.
I know.
You should
the rhythm
apologize
was
for
also-
that one. But
Nope.
not the one
No,
before.
that's the one I won't apologize for.
Every single time.
Terrible rhythm.
I can never
own
get
that.
you to apologize for the thing that you need to.
There's the crux, Bennett.
Then in June we have Eternity. We have
men.
the Infinite. July we have Desire.
She's coming out on the main stage next, folks. Make sure to have your singles ready.
And in keeping with that, August is Judgment. No tips for you.
Here come the judge.
September is Kindness.
What's that?
October is Reason.
Oh, hard fought, hard won, rarely seen nowadays.
And November is Wisdom.
Which is a tooth.
We need wisdom in November this year.
Yeah. That was also by design. When I laid it out, I was like, oh, this all lines up perfectly. And then December is God.
So God, parentheses, S, depending on, are you monotheist? Are you polytheist? I don't know. I'm not going to judge you. I mean, except for the
or
fact
non-theist.
that
If you're, I
don't
welcome,
believe
atheists and
anybody of the Stephen
agnostics
Fry ilk who wants to
to get up. And,
I'm kind of anti-theist myself, but okay.
Hey, whatever helps you sleep at night.
I'm an existential
With me,
humanist.
it's a lot of pills.
So I'm an existential humanist, so I don't even bother worrying about whether or not there is a God. I don't care.
I figure if there is one, then it will know that I've tried my best against strange odds, and that hopefully I farted a little glitter into this world, like a unicorn.
Totally behind that. Amen, sister.
I thought unicorns did soft serve, but
Same thing.
Not every movement is a full bowel movement.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Beni Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lohner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the offices of Howard, and Fine. I just tripped and crashed into Michael's filing cabinet. Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and its production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Check us out on dadsgarageradio.net, listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, comlink@billionpod.com. And until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Courtney Lohner.
I'm Gina Rakicki.
I'm Bernie Clark.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOZ!
Audio Primate.